I am Cagle. I'm a lifelong resident of Amador County. As far as grew up here, born and raised, spent some time away during college, finding out who I was, and now I'm back to service the community in many ways. I am a teacher here at Amador High School, which is my home gym here. I'm also the athletic director and a family man of 3 young kids myself. With my wife, and we enjoy living and being a part of it.
So, how did you get to where you're at now? I mean, you didn't just graduate high school and become a teacher.
Matter of fact, I didn't even leave high school wanting to be a teacher. It wasn't something that was on my radar. I left high school with I enjoyed school, so I enjoyed being a part of the classroom. I enjoyed science and math were my favorite subjects, obviously other than just PE, get out and running. But what happened is, as I started going through, I thought, okay, those boiled out. I'm going to like pharmacy. So I started going through the pharmacy school. I was about ready to apply to pharmacy grad schools and looking at that. And what happened was, in our community, I had known a bunch of the groups of kids below me, below my age group after I graduated. So I'd started coaching them through, whether it be an assistant role or a youth program. Started coaching youth basketball with some of the kids I knew. So I started developing a passion that I didn't know about until after I had gotten to that point. And so I started looking at grad school, pharmacist behind the desk, working the normal 9 to 5, or maybe take this passion that I've already started growing into something else. And so I decided at that point to switch major, take my science major over to PE, and even then I was fighting the idea of being a teacher. So I was like, you know what, maybe I'll get a sports medicine degree, and I'll work with athletes, and I'll help coach and train. And then the minute I got into the athletic PE program over at Sac State, I was hooked, because it was coaching. It was coaching and everything I wanted to be with all kids, not just that group of athletes. So I really enjoyed that part of it. My peers helped that. My experience helped that. From there, then I just started continuing to work with kids through different coaching avenues, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Amador is not the first teaching job you've had, correct?
No. Matter of fact, I left my teacher credential from Sac State. I left that program, and went to it was a hybrid job where I taught 2 elementary PE gigs at the same time. So I was an adaptive PE specialist at one place, and then 3 days a week I was an itinerant PE teacher at an elementary school, and I learned a lot about myself teaching elementary PE.
Regular cats.
That's right. They send you each grade level for 45 minute period of time. So I got a lot of kids very quickly, and it was fun. It keeps you on your toes, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And so how long have you been here at Amador?
2009, I was hired here at Amador High School, and when I finally got my teaching credential, I thought, well, at some point, I'm probably going to look to go back home. It was literally the second year a job opened that looked just like my job that I wanted. Luckily, I still had a few contacts, and I asked, and they said, come in for an interview. I was able to get back home.
Did you ever, going through high school, say, I'm going to move from Amador County and not come back?
I think my young, naive self said that a lot. But then, as I grew I started a family young. I got married during college. We had our first kid just out of college. I think I valued the home that this community gave me. I valued the community members that were still a one phone call away or a home visit away from meeting those people again and saying hi to them. And just the love and support that I've got from the small community of Amador County, that I didn't feel like I would ever get that in a bigger area. By no means was I nervous or afraid to try something else. I was excited, actually. Sacramento was the place I ended up staying. I decided to closer to home because my brother and I are pretty close in age, and I want to stick around and watch him through the final years of his high school. It ended up loving Sacramento, but it didn't feel the same way as it felt here. I mean, you meet a lot of people there. You just know a lot of people here, if that makes a lot of sense. When you know the community and the community knows you, there's far more goods than bads. As many times as my young, naive self would have said opposite, there are so many more great things that come from that than negatives.
I would agree, man. I was here, moved to the Bay Area, came back, went to Tennessee, came back, went to Kentucky, came back. So it just keeps
Just didn't have that same feel though, right?
Yeah. No, it totally, like, it's different and it's good, but it's just different and it's not home.
Right.
And this is home. So
to pinpoint just a couple would be very difficult, but I'm a true believer that moments kind of make things more important, right? And so I kind of mentioned one defining moment was having to make that decision of a career path. That was one that really drove my decision. Once I felt I was committed to changing that course of action into this, I was now free to go full-heartedly into coaching, learning my craft, and developing myself as a teacher or a mentor of young people, and that was a big one. And then getting the opportunity to work with as a young coach, I was lucky enough that I was hired as a young JV coach, and I was the head coach, and I was thrown, in a sense, thrown to the wolves and allowed to grow and allowed to make mistakes and doing that with a very supportive staff. My athletic director, which I'll get to the defining moment I had at that point before I took that job over, was another community member that I still hold in the highest regard, Kevin Neville. He was able to allow me to grow as a young coach, and so that was a big thing. And he was a former coach of mine as well, so there was a mentor, already a built-in mentor for me. And so as I started developing my own coaching style and craft, I started realizing that I have a knack for finding a way to communicate to kids, not just some kids, all of the kids, and that was a big defining moment for myself when I realized I think I might have found what I'm really good at. And so then, the last one where I currently stand as the athletic director, a defining moment would be having that sit-down conversation with Kevin as he was retiring and saying, look, I think you should throw your hat in the ring because of all the belief that he felt he had in me to fulfill the job that he left. And so I would argue that a lot of my defining moments have something tied to someone else that gave me confidence or allowed me to be who I was eventually going to be. Yeah. Whether I saw it yet or not, but they did, gave me a confidence to kind of move forward, and that was big.
And I think you and I both coach, and that's a big thing is getting them to believe in themselves.
Right.
So when you went to transition your academics from being a pharmacy to this athletics, do you have any naysayers saying man, you shouldn't do that, that's a bad thing to do? Or did you just say, hey, I'm going to do it because this is what I'm passionate about?
Well, jokingly, besides my wife, because she was going to dig the paycheck, I think, that came with being a pharmacist at some point.
Yeah.
And me getting my doctorate in that world or whatever it might be. But I didn't have any naysayers, and I think it was because the people that valued me the most saw how much I actually appreciated being out and spending my time with kids. I mean, I think I've had this conversation with people that the thing that I value the most is quality time. And I feel when I'm coaching, I feel that's quality time.
Yeah.
And so that gave me a purpose of time and purpose of what I was doing. Rather than, man, I just don't know if I want to do this, and being unsure and making that transition and being sure of myself. I think a lot of the people that supported me knew that, and some of them even said, man, it's about time, to be honest. Why didn't you just do this from the get-go? But I don't think I didn't leave here thinking, oh man, teaching was going to be my thing. I thought, I might as well use something that I thought was good, or I was good at, to create myself an opportunity for a career. And I think that was what really helped me understand myself and help people around me validate the decision I made. So,
Yeah, I think that's super important, having that sphere of influence. It's like, yeah, we support you, we're encouraging you. Sometimes a lot of the kids that we work with don't have that, and so having guys like you in the community and other athletic directors that are, hey, you know what, coaches, like, we want to see you guys succeed is super important.
I've always looked back at my time throughout high school, junior high, the development years, because that's who I'm coaching.
Yeah.
I try to remember, you know, if I put myself in their shoes. You know, I didn't have a lot of struggle. I mean, I came from a pretty stable household. My family made a good living. They provided all that was necessary for my brother and I to be successful. But you know, other than the daily struggles of making sure that I stayed high up, you know, I kept my academics up and struggled that way. I didn't personally have as many, you know, of the same struggles that I see within my own clientele of kids today.
Yeah.
But I can promise, like I had my best friend growing up in high school nearly had to come live with us because his family went through divorce and struggle and went through a tear up of the family. I had a lot of friends that, you know, my parents bought me extra shoes because they were, you know, a size and a half too big, knowing that they're going to fit another kid on my team.
Yeah.
You know, not even having to tell us that kind of stuff until I grew up later in life. But they just wanted us to appreciate that the people around us may not have exactly what we had, and I think that's what I started to develop, was appreciation for people that had a difference, not necessarily the fact that I had that same shared experience. And that's something I talk a lot about with my wife, is because she works in a field where shared experiences is huge, with foster youth and things like that that she works with. And so having the ability to empathize and feel for those kids that I may not understand exactly what they're going through, but as far as a struggle, but I can help assist in ways that might be useful to their growing through it.
Absolutely, and that's super important, like, especially because what we do, you know, in the community and working with kids that are at risk and mental health issues and all, you know, being in class with you guys, like, it's challenging, and we've partnered together to make sure that we can reach these kids in different ways. And so I think it's super important that we can continue to do that, and it's coaches that are doing what they need to do, and teachers and everybody else just coming together. And I think that's the great thing about a small community.
Oh, I have a lot of hobbies.
Anything you're good at?
A lot of things that I enjoy time with. You know, I get out and slap a golf ball around a little bit here and there. But honestly, and I think we've talked about it in the past because we share family experiences when we talk a lot, Steve, is I really enjoy my family time. I mean, off season right now, we're still doing little things here and there for athletics, the coaches, the things that I coach, but I dive back into my family and making sure that I challenge my kids to step to their next level this coming year, and I dive back into the time that's quality for my wife and I, and the family time, and meeting up with my parents, my brother, the siblings. We're all kind of tight knit back in the family, back in the community again. So doing that is huge. I don't really have a major passion that drives me beyond the coaching time that I spend. But I do enjoy family time. We love doing RVing and camping and things like that. So that's always a big plus over the summer.
I hate driving, man.
Yeah.
And I'm awful at golf, so it's just not my thing.
Right. That's a tough question. I just think that I know how much a mentor, I know how much someone you can look up to meant to me growing up, and so having or being or even being thought of as that person for someone else is what kind of drives me to make a connection. Sometimes it could be really easy to shut a connection down and say, look, we just don't vibe, and we're not going to get on the same page. But when you put yourself into my position, I don't allow myself to not attempt to make every attempt to try to make that kid feel that I can assist them in some way moving forward, whether it be through athletics or even in the classroom or just as a friend. I mean, there's a lot of athletes that I'm just the athletic director for, and man, that kid asked me to come watch him play. If I'm free, I'm going to be there. I'm going to watch him play and be there as a supporter, because there's a twinkle in an eye of a kid that knows that someone else is out there watching. Mom and dad in the stands is always great. You know, if you can have extra people there, that's always great. And those are your built-in mentors, your family. But when someone who's not always there sees you from a different angle and says, you know, you have value and I want to come out and support you and be a part of who you are and your growth, I think that's huge. And I think that's why I invest in those kids. That's why I want, because the reality is I've maybe coached one or two guys in my time here that are going to go on and play big level, next level basketball or football. But I've coached a heck of a lot more students, or taught a lot more students that are going to be really good human beings, really good parents to their kids, really good, you know, community members, leaders of the next future as we move forward here. And if I can in any which way positively, you know, show them anything that they can take from me that is going to be of value, then I feel like that's of worth.
Absolutely.
So I can really get on board with spending time doing that.
I mean, you know, you hired me as the baseball coach here, and one thing
Did a great job, by the way.
Thank you. One thing tough group, but endearing.
Yeah,
group.
absolutely. Sometimes those are the funnest.
They were. Gave me a little bit more gray hair, though.
There you go.
One of the reasons, like, I think I love sports, and you probably would agree, is like there's a metaphor for life in these things. And I told my guys this year, like, I want to get a phone call in 10 years that you're getting married or you're having kids. And, you know, it's more than just the athlete. It's about the person and seeing them grow.
I'd probably start with one of two things. I'll get to the second one in a second. I think I would start with the best stories that are most worthy of telling usually start with something that's troubled in the front. And so if something here happened, you know, if COVID was something that abruptly stopped your norm and put you into a situation where you have now adversity and you have to get over something, I can promise you that the best stories told are the ones that have adversity. I mean, it's been tried and told. Athletic world, you know, Michael Jordan didn't make his first varsity team in high school, but you know, he's in my opinion and arguably the best player that's ever played. So the reality
not
is,
the wrong opinion.
You're going to find that adversity helps grow a toughness in you that is really going to be unseen but valuable as you grow into more confidence and goes on. And then the next thing I would do is, and this is coming from an athletic director, meaning you don't have to necessarily pick an athletic thing, but find a passion, find something you want to do. Whether it doesn't have to be here with athletics. I mean, I've found that some of my favorite students weren't athletes. They found a passion in volunteering and being a part of, you know, service clubs or, you know, local community things that they do, or you know, some of my favorite students maybe went high level into band or created their own something that they were passionate about. And if you create a passion, you do it with enthusiasm, you show up every single day, it makes it starts a snowball effect in a positive way.
Absolutely.
And so if you're willing to put hard work in and you're willing to do it with enthusiasm, it won't be long before you start seeing great things happen, and all of a sudden that transfers elsewhere. So if you're nervous about school coming up because COVID was different, find something that's going to latch you to school. Find something that you're going to be excited about when you get back. Just take that opportunity and grow from it. And again, it'll snowball itself. I promise. I've seen it happen with so many kids that they just needed a spark. Whether they just needed to be on a team or they just needed to be involved in something. If you didn't make the basketball team, it didn't mean you can't try making the track team and finding a passion there, or try something else, drama, whatever it might be. Join the local anything. Find a passion, but once you do, go all in on it. I mean, I just kind of mentioned that big defining moment when I made that decision to go into coaching and teaching. I went all in, and I wasn't going to look back. And if I was going to do it, I wasn't going to do it 70% of the way, because then I would have been mad about my other 30 effort I didn't give.
Yeah.
And so that's what I ask is, if you're going to choose it, just go all in.
Do it.
Yeah, go all in. Give it your best effort, and then reevaluate at the end. If it wasn't for you, try something else with that same attitude and that same resolve, and you're going to find something at some point.
I agree.
It's fun. It's fun watching some of those kids try a bunch of different things, and then you see them latch on, and how they flourish after that. And so I love it.
I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you.
Thanks for the time, and that's going to wrap up our time with Mr. Cagle.